And now, back to the Dr. A Show with your host, Dr. Will Aguila.
Welcome back to the show. Are there hidden dangers out there that can affect you? Nowadays, it seems that everything either causes cancer, makes you fat, or can lead to birth defects. Is anything safe? Well, today, we have an expert who has compiled a whole encyclopedia of things that can hurt us and the science behind these paranoias. Christopher Cerf, an Emmy and Grammy-winning author, composer, and producer of more than 300 songs for Sesame Street, is the co-author, along with Henry Beard, who co-founded National Lampoon. Their newest book, Encyclopedia Paranoiaca, the indispensable guide to everyone and everything you should be afraid of or worried about. Chris, welcome to the show.
Hi, well, thanks, Will.
Hey, are we a paranoid society or what?
Well, I think we're getting that way, though I'm not sure whether it's our fault or the people that write about things, because actually it's the internet or the media that seem to have a new scare every day, and it's usually backed by some research study that indicates that it might be true.
Well, it seems that we are way more aware of dangers than ever before today. Is that because of the dissemination of information through the media and the web and all that?
I think that's right. I think you've got it. And obviously, if you put a story on the web that says, well, string beans are just good, really nice for you and you should eat them, no one's going to read that, right? But if you put up something saying you thought soy was healthy, but it's actually terrible for you, that makes news. So I think that we get into kind of a race to the top of what's scariest, and that's why this phenomenon has happened.
But, you know, they seem to get conflicting messages a lot of times.
Well, that's the whole message of the Encyclopedia Paranoiaca. You're damned if you do, damned if you don't. In fact, we started the whole book because I came across a news item saying that a doctor in Australia had found that carrots caused blindness. And obviously we've always been taught that carrots are good for your eyes, right? But this doctor says that he found that the beta-carotene in carrots can worsen macular degeneration. So he said you should eat spinach to get the lutein that you need, and without the beta-carotene. So just on a whim, I looked up spinach and found out that there was a doctor in London who said that spinach had so much oxalic acid in it that it could literally leach the calcium out of your bones. So you mustn't eat spinach. You know, and on like that. So yes, the advice is totally self-contradictory.
But is there bad science out there, or is any of this based on fact? Well,
yes, but fact in quotes, I guess. Sure. One thing I think, not that we're used to being serious about it, but obviously statistics can really lie. If you say that something has twice as big a chance of killing you as something else, it might be that the odds are 1 chance in 1 billion instead of 1 chance in 2 billion. Another big thing is that obviously things in moderation may be okay, but if you ate 20 tons of sugar every day, that would be terrible for you. If you have one teaspoonful, maybe you'd be okay, you know? So that's part of it. But yes, having said that, there is research behind absolutely everything in this book. We didn't make any of it up at all.
Now, how afraid should we really be?
Well, depends on your nature. I don't think we should be terribly afraid of all this stuff. In fact, I think part of the message of pointing out every single terrible thing that could happen to you is to say, well, maybe you should relax. There's no way to avoid all these threats. Everything in life is theoretically threatening. Even the rubber duck in your bathtub is filled with bacteria.
No. Leave my rubber duck alone. That's sacred, okay? Leave my rubber duck alone.
That's right. But Dr. Philip Cierno here in New York, where I live, has come out with a study showing that because the rubber duck sits in a bathtub and kids wash in the bathtub and then, you know, it just floats in the dirty water, all the bacteria builds up in the little inside because the little hole where the squeaker is lets the water in, and that it's terribly dangerous. And besides, kids put them in their mouths. But I'm using that as an example. If you have to be afraid of your rubber duck, then how do you live, you know? So in moderation
seriously.
is really the lesson.
And how about for germaphobes? I mean, how good is this book for a germaphobe? They probably shouldn't read it, right?
Well, I can't say they shouldn't read it because we're depending on people to, but they won't like it. They will like it because I think germaphobes love to be scared for the most part. And for example, I bet you didn't know, and we didn't know till we worked on this book, that one of the most dangerous things in the world is a restaurant menu. And probably...
I was going to ask you about that later, because when I read this, I showed this to my wife, and I'm like, did you see this? And she's like, no. Really? So tell us, please tell us about it.
Well, it's common sense, really. When you go to a restaurant, you don't see the management wash the menus between customers. And that means that every single person that goes in there, whether they've got the flu or something worse, or coughing or sneezing every 5 seconds onto everything, is holding that menu, and nobody ever sterilizes it. So obviously, if you touch it, you get the germs on your hands, and then you eat. So, so the thought is, Dr. Gerba out in at the University of Arizona, and Allison Jantz, who lives down in your area there in Florida, wrote a book in which they strongly suggest that the minute you touch the menu, you go into the restroom, and wash your hands before you eat. The problem is, of course, that all those people who had germs on their hands also touched the doorknob of the restroom. So on the way out, you get the germs back on your hands. So you just can't even go to a restaurant. That's the only answer.
Okay, but Chris, then you go to the table and you figure, okay, I got it beat. I'm going to use that alcohol-based hand sanitizer. Well, what's the problem with that?
Well, again, we didn't make this stuff up, but I believe it's at Case Reserve University out in Cleveland. There's a study that was done that shows that the hand sanitizer, because it has alcohol in it, can actually dry your hands out and your skin cracks. And if your skin cracks, of course, all those germs you're trying to get rid of with the hand sanitizer get right in. So it's even
and that
worse.
Actually makes a lot of sense. That actually makes a lot of sense. You're right. It gets into the crevices.
All of this makes sense if you really pay attention to it. How are you going to live your life? Maybe you can't.
But one more dealing with restaurants and bathrooms and all that. Okay, I got everybody beat. I'm going to use the hand drying machine. What happens there?
Well, lots of terrible things. I'm pointing out only a few things you realize that are wrong with this. But here's an interesting thing. Johns Hopkins University put automatic hand dryers into their hospital restrooms in Baltimore because they felt, obviously, that, touching the towels and the towel dispenser could be bad for you. But what they found out was that the valve system in the hand dryers actually fostered the development of Legionnaire's disease bacteria. So that, and then when you turn the hand dryer on, it sprays that bacteria all the way through the restroom. So they actually have ripped out the hand drying machines and put the towels back in.
So we're going backwards. Yeah.
So
we're going back to where we started from.
Yeah, well, the towels are dangerous, of course. So there's no way out.
There's no way out.
Well, no way out. I'm sorry to have to tell you that.
So what do you think in the bathroom? What is cleaner? The toilet seat? What's cleaner than a toilet seat? Let's put it that way. What's cleaner than a toilet seat?
Well, according, again, I mentioned Dr. Chuck Gerba from Arizona a minute ago. He actually claims that if aliens came from outer space and didn't know anything and checked out the Earth, they would drink from the toilet rather than from the kitchen sink. Because
wait. Time out.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I'm only quoting, again, but he says that there's so much bacteria that breeds in the sink because it's warm water, it's moist, and you put your chicken from the store in there, and then you put vegetables that haven't been washed off, so all the bacteria can breed there. And he says there's more bacteria in the kitchen sink more likely than in the toilet. Now, I don't know if I believe that because he's the same doctor who discovered that every time you flush the toilet, it sends an aerosol spray of bacteria into the air, which lands on everything else in the bathroom, including the doorknob and the faucet. So, and the toothbrushes. I don't even want to go there, but when you wash your hands, if you turn the faucet off after you wash your hands, you get the germs right back on them. So then you have to wash your hands again, and the problem just recycles.
Wow. So I don't think about it next time I go to the public bathroom. I'll be thinking about this
or
book.
even in your own bathroom at home.
Perfect. But there has been evidence that shows that the toilet seats aren't as dirty as you think they are. I mean,
well, that's actually
a lot of bacteria
right.
doesn't. Yeah. And a lot of bacteria doesn't necessarily grow on there like you think it does. It actually gets on your skin when you sit on it. But we'll pick that up when we get back because we have so many other things I want to discuss. It's so interesting, Thank God. Anyway, we're speaking to Emmy and Grammy-winning author, composer, and producer Christopher Cerf, who is also the author of Encyclopedia Paranoiaca, the indispensable guide to everyone and everything you should be afraid or worried about. When we come back, find out how many candlelight dinners could lead to cancer and how your kitty litter can expose you and your pets to radiation. The Dr. A Show continues, so stay with us.